This meeting is being broadcast on Facebook Live.
Okay. Let's sit down.
Chị Oanh có giống bạn Đà La không?
What? Yep.
Không có tiếng chị Oanh
Thank
à?
you. Mandala is done. Thank you.
Ok, xong rồi.
đã dâng xong rồi.
Vâng, xong rồi thì ngồi xuống lại chị.
Yeah, thank you. So greetings to everyone. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Now, so as usual, before starting the Dharma session, please what we call shape your motivation, tune your motivation, tune your motivation to that of the bodhisattvas, which is to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So whatever we do, especially the Dharma session that we are having today for the next 2 hours, please visualize that we are doing this for the sake of all sentient beings. So we are doing this. The reason we are engaging in this session is to learn more about the Buddha Dharma, so that we can practice them and perfect ourselves, so that we can serve others. So normally we talk about the two goals, self-goal and self-oriented goal, and the others-oriented goal. So the reason for becoming a Buddha, the purpose of becoming a Buddha is to fulfill the two goals, self-oriented goal and others-oriented goal. That is the term we use. Self-oriented goal is to become a Buddha. That is the self-oriented goal. So you want to become the best version of yourself, perfect yourself to the maximum until there is no more way to become more. There's no way to become more perfect. So perfect yourself. That is the self-oriented goal. And once you have perfected yourself to the point where there is no more way to become, there is no way to become more perfect, then we utilize that skill set, that potential to serve innumerable sentient beings. So that is called the others-oriented goal. So we have the self-oriented goal and others-oriented goal, and that is the main reason, main purpose of becoming a Buddha, and that is also the. So you may have different questions why we should do this or that. That is another matter. But for now, to get the most out of the 2-hour session that we are going to have, please set your motivation to that of the Bodhisattva, which is as I explained just now. So the text that we will be practicing in order to perfect ourselves is known as the Precious Garland of the Path to Enlightenment, and that is written by Master Gampopa. And so as we know, so there is different sections within the text, and the section that we are covering today is known as the 10 mistakes. So if you refer to the book, it has so the translation has a little bit of so it says the 10 confusions to be identified. So it is more or less 10 mistakes to be noted. So so we will cover these 10 mistakes. 10 mistakes. 10. Well, when there is a mistake, when you make a mistake, then it creates confusion. So it makes sense in a way. But I would like to use the word mistake here. 10 mistakes.
Và bây giờ thì cái con đường mà chúng ta thực hành pháp để làm toàn hảo chính bản thân mình, đó chính là cái quyển sách, chủ đề của cuốn sách Tràng Hoa Báu của con đường tối thượng và của tổ Gampopa mà chúng ta đang được học. Và ở chủ đề của ngày hôm nay đó chính là 10 cái lầm lạc. Và ở đây trong sách có nói rằng đó là 10 cái lầm lẫn hay 10 cái mê lầm, nhưng ở đây thầy thích dùng cái từ gọi là 10 cái sai lầm. 10 cái sai lầm mà chúng ta cần phải nhận ra, 10 cái sai lầm mà chúng ta cần phải ghi nhớ để chúng ta không bị mắc phải.
So of the 10 mistakes that we make, especially when we are on a spiritual path, the first mistake is known as the mistake between faith and desire. So the book says, okay, I will read the book, that English one. Confusion occurs between faith and desire, so identify them. So there is the chance, there's the danger of mistaking or confusing faith, desire with faith. So now faith is usually, it's a form of likeness. It's a form of likeness that is directed towards someone or something that you revere. That is faith. So, and desire is close to the age of attachment. So desire and attachment are very much similar. I'm not sure if you can say they are exactly the same thing, but they're very much similar. And for ordinary people like us, it's very easy to mistake desire with attachment. That's for sure, or likeness with desire. So I will give you an example so that we can have a better understanding of what faith would be and what would be, let's say, desire. So we all have faith to the Buddha Dharma, to Dharma Sangha, Buddha Dharma Sangha, and all that. And we all have faith towards our lineages, right? Whether we belong to Vietnamese Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, or Kagyu, Nyingma, Sakya, Gilu, like that. So we have different sects. And to whichever sect we belong to or we are familiar with, we have likeness towards them. We like them. We have faith towards them. So what happens is when a desire creeps in, or in other words, when our ignorance creeps in, the likeness becomes desire, and then we become attached to our own sect, our own lineages. And that attachment actually makes us, so with attachment comes the three poisons, right? Ignorance, attachment, and hatred. So with attachment, what follows attachment is form of hatred. It may not necessarily be such a strong form of hatred, but when you are attached towards one form, one particular sect, or one particular section, one particular lineage or tradition or group, then we start to distance ourselves from another group. So we like our lineages, we like our guru, we like our tradition. There's nothing wrong with that. But when that likeness forms into desire, and then it starts, the attachment starts to creep in, then we start to form distance towards other lineages. So when that happens, then this can turn into hatred and all other things. So we start denigrating other traditions and other lineages. Religious, so faithful, so spiritual. So we say, oh, when one is attached towards one's particular faith or practices, then one starts to develop fear. One starts to develop paranoia towards other traditions, other groups, other religions, and so on and so forth. And this happens to those who are actually very faithful ones. To those who have no faith at all, there is no such danger because they don't believe in anything, right? Any faith. So when you believe in a particular faith, and if you do not check your mind, then there is the chance for mistaking faith with desire, and then what seems to be a good start actually turns into a bad result. So the next one, number 2, is similar to the number 1. So this is something that in Tibetan, we refer to this in a hierarchical sort of way. So there are those who are above us, and there are those who are on similar level as us. So the first one, the faith. We have faith towards those who are above us, like the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the Bodhisattvas, like gurus and teachers, so who we revere and respect and who are above us. That is, so this is the mistake that was the mistake that can occur between towards those whom we revere and respect above us. Now the next one, number 2, is something that can happen due to the same reason. This happens towards people whom we consider equal among us. So the second one is the mistake or confusion between loving kindness or loving compassion. So the Tibetan word is cham nyingje. Cham is loving kindness or love, and nyingje is compassion. So love and compassion, one thing on the one side, and then attachment on the other side. So these two can also be mixed. So loving kindness and love and compassion, loving kindness and love, compassion and attachment on one hand, and faith and desire on the other hand. So they are very similar, right? So one is directed towards people or objects that we revere and respect, those who are above us in hierarchical order, and the second one is referred to those who are on the same level as us. So it's basically the same thing. So again, we have love and we have faith towards. We have love and we have camaraderie towards people whom we deem close. Okay, we are from the same group, or we are from the same tradition. We are following the Buddha, so we are all Buddhist. And then when you see someone who is not a Buddhist, then we view them as an outsider. So it's basically the same thing as above, but it's directed towards people whom we are whom we consider equals. So the same thing can happen. Compassion, loving kindness, loving compassion towards people whom we consider equals. Whom we consider our side. And then when that happens, that loving, it is not unconditional love or compassion. So we covered that last, I think 2 weeks or so. We talk about compassion in general and the great compassion, right? So compassion itself, there is both, the conditional as well as unconditional compassion, or unconditional and unconditional love too. So love in general, or compassion in general, is positive, but at the same time, love and compassion can be conditional. Okay, I will be compassionate towards you because you mean something to me. You are worthy of my love, my compassion. So therefore, I love you and I'm compassionate towards you. If you are not worthy of my compassion, if you do not bring me any gratification, then I will no longer be able to love you or be compassionate towards you. So that is a conditional love and compassion. So these, if we do not train our love and compassion, even though loving kindness and compassion are positive attributes, if we do not train them by itself, they are somewhat conditional. They are not unconditional. So therefore, we have to train our all the positive attributes that we possess. We have to train them so that we can, so that it is no longer relevant towards external conditions, and then we will be free from attachments. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is easy part. So third part and fourth part, it's very difficult, but I will just walk on the surface, and then if there are more questions, then we can go into much detail. So this is okay. So this is regarding emptiness, of course, and it's very difficult. Anyway, so I will just walk on the surface for now. Now, the third point is to be able to differentiate, to see the differences between so I will use two terms here. One term with intellectual emptiness, or emptiness of the human intellect, intellectual emptiness, one thing. And another point is natural emptiness. So we call that natural. So that is the emptiness that is arising in the very nature of all phenomena, all the entities. So one we call natural emptiness, and another we call intellectual emptiness. So these two, people tend to confuse between those two, especially people who are in the spiritual path and also on the philosophical, on the spiritual path, and also treating the philosophical, those who are working on the philosophical, the aspect of Buddha Dharma. So, okay, so what are we talking about when we say intellectual emptiness, and natural emptiness? So natural emptiness is emptiness as we talk about all the time in the Buddha Dharma. So we talk about it all the time. But when we actually, I think we all are very good at explaining it, myself included. But when it actually comes to meditating, actually the application part, that is the most difficult aspect. So, so in natural emptiness means all the phenomena being empty of having an inherent existence. So that's very simple thing to say. So all phenomena are empty of having inherent existence. That is the emptiness that occurs in the nature. So that is called the natural emptiness. That is the emptiness. That is the emptiness that is regarded as the emptiness occurring naturally. Now there's another form of emptiness. So when we try to meditate, most of the time, that is the emptiness we are meditating. When we talk about emptiness, we are talking about the natural emptiness. But when we actually put it into application, we always go into the intellectual emptiness part. So the intellectual emptiness can be explained in many different ways. But for ease of understanding, ease of grasping, I will just say this. So intellectual understanding for now, let's say it's a form of emptiness. So emptiness being the nature, the very essence of all phenomena. So intellectual emptiness is a form of emptiness that is purported by philosophers. So in such a way that even though it is not the emptiness as it is the emptiness as was purported or was taught to you, in other words. So what is that so-called intellectual emptiness? So there are many various different forms of looking at it. So one way of looking at it is that what we sometimes refer to that as alternative emptiness. Okay, alternative emptiness, and Xiandong, alternative emptiness. What it means is that emptiness. So this is very okay. I will give you an example. So this is a cup, right? So this cup is empty of inherent existence, right? This cup is empty of inherent existence. So that is to be understood as the natural form of emptiness. Now this cup is also empty of being a car. This cup is also empty of being a house. This cup is also empty of being a human being, right? This is not a human being, this is not a car, this is not a, all these things. So that is also a form of emptiness, but that is not the natural emptiness in the sense that natural emptiness being the very essence of all phenomena. So therefore that emptiness is a purported emptiness. Purported, like P-U-R-P-O-R-T-E-T, purported. So that form of emptiness we sometimes refer to as alternate emptiness, inferior emptiness, and all other, there are many different terms for that. So this cup is a white cup is not a black cup. So a white cup is empty of being a black cup. So the white cup being empty of a black cup, that is a form of emptiness. But that emptiness is not the natural emptiness. That is an intellectual form of emptiness. So, okay, we will, you know, do it with this explanation for now, and then maybe we have some questions, we can go into more details. So these two emptiness, intellectual emptiness and natural emptiness, to see the difference between the two, that is also important. So I will read the text in Tibetan. Okay. Now the fourth one actually follows. The fourth point follows the third point. So this is the common mistake between the emptiness and nihilism. So in other words, emptiness is the ultimate reality of all phenomena. So emptiness is also referred to as essence of all phenomena. And the Sanskrit term we use is Dharma Dhatu. So Dharma Dhatu and nothingness or nihilism can be mistaken. Nihilism or nothingness can be mistaken for emptiness. So in other words, to put it simply, not to confuse nothingness with emptiness. So emptiness means something, and nothingness means something else. So when we say nothing and empty, it sounds similar, but there is a difference. When we say, okay, to put it simply, when we say the space is empty, right? When we are looking for a parking space, or the space is empty, or if you look at a cup and you say the cup is empty, when we say the cup is empty, we know that there is a cup, but it has nothing in it, right? But the cup is there. So the cup is there. There is nothing in it. Similarly, when there's an empty parking space, the parking space is there, but there's no car in that parking space. So something is there, but nothing inherently existent phenomena is there, right? So there is something there and there is something not there. So, there's a balance here. But when we say nothingness, then there's nothing. When you say, we can say, when there is no nothing, then there is not even a cup. There is no parking space, nothing. When there is an empty space and there is nothing, it's a huge difference here. But when we always, for the unobserved, when we say the nothing, emptiness, we always think of nothingness, right? So this is something. So emptiness is the essence of all phenomena. Nothingness is not. So if we mess these two things up, then we will have a lot of trouble. So therefore, emptiness and nothingness has to be differentiated. So the next is the confusion or mistake between experience, life experience, and realization. So experience is gained from maturity, by maturing in life. So when we go through our life, we go through many different phases in our life, and through that we mature, we become more mature, and then we gain a lot of experiences. And that experiences should not be confused with spiritual realizations. So when we treat on spiritual path, when we practice, as we progress in our spiritual practices, we gain spiritual insights and so on and so forth. So these two should not be confused. One due to our, let's say, okay, for example, something like, okay, nothing lasts forever, right? We all and nothing is permanent. This is, even though we can have we can gain spiritual insight on impermanence and the fidelity of life and all these things, but it is not necessary for you to be on a spiritual path to gain those insights. So if you live your life to a certain amount of time, then you will see that there's, you know, that life is impermanent, because a lot of people around you have has come and gone, and life itself, your maybe your job, maybe your property, so many things, they come and go. So this you can get insight into that, but that is not necessarily a spiritual insight. And this can also and then when you are when you have a business, when you have a job and it's not working out well, when you have trouble with your boss, or maybe your business is not doing well, then you start to think like, oh, okay, this is so, I want to get rid of all this. This is so annoying. Let me get rid of all that, and now let me go to become a monk or a nun, or go to spiritual, take a spiritual life, become a monk or nun or whatever like that. So this is not necessarily a spiritual insight. It is just that you are fed up with your samsaric life, or you're just fed up with your business is not doing well, and your job is not going well. So that's you are just fed up. You are infuriated. You are not. This is not a spiritual insight. So many people think that this is a spiritual insight. This is the call for them to become a spiritual person, or to take the spiritual path, and so on and so forth. That's not necessarily so. So it is important to differentiate the fine line between experiences gained from life and insights gained from spiritual practices. Now the next is the difference, the mistake or confusion between humbleness and pretentiousness, or an imposter. So this is twofold. You can look at it yourself, as a practice. You can observe within yourself if you are okay. Whatever you are doing, okay, you are reciting a mantra. Are you reciting the mantra because your guru is there, or maybe your Dharma friends are there, so that you want to get a good compliment and all that? So that would be pretentiousness. That is not humbleness or humility or any form of that. But if you are doing it, so you have to observe yourself. So the same you can also observe others, especially people like us who are supposedly teaching others. So you can look, okay, my appearance today. So the way I'm looking, the way I'm speaking, my actions, my mannerism. So am I doing it to gain support from you, or am I doing it out of humility? So you can observe it within yourself as well as others, whether it is sincerity or humbleness. So the Tibetan word is zubu. That is the Tibetan word. So zubu can be sincerity, it can be humbleness, it can be humility. So humility or humbleness, that is from your own side. Sincerity, if you want to observe others. If someone is doing something, do you think it is out of sincerity, or it is out of pretentiousness? Are they doing it to fool other people? So this is something that one need to observe, either within yourself or of others. So these two are very similar. So when somebody appears humble, somebody appears to speak very nice, very softly, and all that, we like those people. So we do not know whether it's real or if that it's just acting out. So it's important to see that. And yeah. So before we go to point number 7, let's go to point number 8 and then come back to 7. Okay. Point number 8 is difference, the confusion between a sage, a realized person, a realized being, and a charlatan, an imposter. So someone who has actually reached a certain stage of spiritual height, and someone who is imposing as one. So this is also, these two happens. So coming, let's follow point number 6. We just covered point number 6. So jump from point number 6 to point number 8. So point number 6, we talk about observing yourself and observing others. So when we observe others, then we have to understand whether someone is being actually humble and sincere, or they are just playing an act, putting on an act. And if someone is being actually humble and there's actual humility, then this is the traits of a sage, of a realized master, a realized being. But if somebody is just putting on an act, then that is being an imposter, a charlatan. So the only way to observe that is, of course, we have to be very sharp ourselves and then observe for a very long time. One cannot say for sure within just 1 or 2 meetings cannot determine anything. So it's important to be sharp and to question at all times. Until one, but then there's of course there's a limit as to how much you can be suspicious or doubtful of. If you keep doubting all the time, then you will become cynical, and then you will not achieve anything. You have to question to a certain degree, and then you have to stop, and then you have to put faith in something. You have to either drop it or take it. Yeah. But before you do that, you have to decide, you have to investigate, you have to be suspicious and be doubtful and all that. And so again, that is point number 8. And point number 7 is this is Chushiklan Dukilan of Sayo. So that is actually not very much, I would say not very much relevant to us, because it happens only to the highest of the highest, to people who have reached a certain level of spiritual elevation. When you become a certain level of, when you reach a certain level of spiritual height, then you gain lots of realization. And sometimes it is not actual realization. It is actually what we call being put a spell on by the demons. So we can get into this later. So being bewitched and having a spiritual insight that can that mistake can occur as well. So one needs to be wary of that. So this is not much danger for these things for us at the moment. Yeah. So point number go to point number 10 before coming to point number 9. Point number 10 follows directly to point number 8. So there is the skillful means, and then there is the pretentious methods, or let's say cunningness, deceitful methods, skillful methods and deceitful methods. So people who are actual realized being, or someone who is on the path of realization, they do lots of different they do many different kinds of skillful methods in order to, because all the sentence, different people have different mindset, mental disposition. We come from different backgrounds. Even if we are born in one family, we receive love from different people, we receive care from different people, and the way our external world and our inner world were developed differently by different people, by different experiences, by different incidents, and not just in this life, but in countless lifetimes prior to this one. So therefore, our mental dispositions are different. So therefore, in order to subdue each negative emotions within each individual, there are different methods to do that. That's why we see, especially in the Mahayana and especially in the Vajrayana tradition, we see a lot of angry-looking, wrathful-looking gods, naked, holding different implements of like weapons and so on and so forth, and then very beautiful goddesses who are completely naked and so on and so forth. So they, each has their own purposes. So this is the skillful method, and so skillful method is one thing. And then there are people who use that term skillful method to fulfill their own deceitful, their own agenda. And so this becomes a deceitful method. So they are trying to deceive us. So it is important to differentiate or see the confusion, see the differences, and then point out the mistake. So if you do the first one, which is a skillful method, then now we are going to point number 9. If you are doing the skillful method, then it is Shendön Chepa, which is actions oriented towards others. But if it is done towards, if it's a deceitful method, then it is something that is done towards for one's own good. So one is selfless. So skillful method is selfless act. A deceitful method is a selfish act. That covers all the topics today. Oh yeah, thank you. Now please Q and questions.
Bây giờ sang phần hỏi đáp ạ.
Ms. Yen, do you have any questions?
Yes, Rinpoche La, we have 2 questions so far. I'll read them for you. Okay, the first question, Rinpoche, prostrate to Rinpoche La. First question, since all emotions, for example, ego and happiness, are impermanent, they come and go by themselves. Why do we need to work so hard to remove them? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Chị dịch luôn, chị Yên.
Translate, please.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Okay, so very, very good question, because this is a question asked someone. I think this question was there from last week. So this is related to these kind of questions arise when we actually observe, when we study, and when we inquire, when we think on the spiritual, on the philosophical aspect of the Dharma. Now, it's true that all phenomena, I mean most of the phenomena that we interact with on a daily basis are impermanent. Emotion, anger, hatred, and all depression, and all these kind of things, they do come and go. But the thing is, it is one thing when we need to. One thing that we need to remind ourselves is the very core of Buddhist teaching. That is law of causality, cause and effect, lejumje, karma. So gyudan jibu. So karma actually comes from another factor, which is called law of causality, cause and effect. Cause and from any effect is actually caused by source. So there is a cause. Because there is a cause, there is an effect. So in that reference, let me give you an example. All the viruses, like the coronavirus, or all the bacteria, all the, what do you call that? These things, all the viruses that is actually infecting us, they are also impermanent. They also die. So why are we so worried about it? The thing is, those viruses lay eggs or whatever, and then they bring the eggs, and they generate more viruses, which invade the physical body or system. So therefore, similarly, all the negative emotions that is within us, even though they are impermanent, they leave. They stay only for one moment. Only one moment. Kijingma is called. All the impermanent. All the impermanent phenomena are momentous. They are momentary. They only stay for one moment and then they change. But they leave an imprint. They leave. There is a stream. So it's like a river. The river is always running, but then there is a stream. So the stream runs for thousands of years. Similarly, negative emotions are also like that. It's changing, but at the same time, they give whatever power they have, the power to the influence, the power to infect you, your mind, your body, whatever. They give that to their descendants, and then they keep infecting you for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, and so on and so forth. So therefore, even though each negative emotions are impermanent, we are talking about a stream of negative emotions. So it's not like I become angry just now and then it goes away. When I become angry, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, like that. And it's a stream of thought, stream of consciousness. When we are angry towards somebody, we keep thinking of so many different ways of like how to deal with that person. Okay, I'm going to hit that person. I'm going to kill that person. I'm going to, take revenge on that person. So our thoughts change all the time, but it's the same stream of thought, same stream of emotion. So it is the stream that we are talking about. So even though the negative emotions on its own are momentary, but the stream is somewhat permanent. It's not permanent, but it stays much longer than the individual negative entities, negative emotions.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
I will read the second question before I read Charlie's question. The second question is, how do we apply emptiness in our daily life? Làm thế nào để chúng ta có thể áp dụng được tánh không trong cuộc sống hàng ngày? Thank you, Rinpoche.
So, emptiness, how to apply emptiness in day-to-day life. Now, it is very, very important. And if we can do that, then even though it is not our goal, to live happily in samsara, to live in samsara is not our goal. But since we are already living in samsara, we should be living in samsara happily. We don't want to end up in prison, but if we are in prison, then why don't we live happily in the prison? So that is the ideology, that is the idea behind it. So even though so when we have that ideology, the ideology of the emptiness or attitude of emptiness, when we see all phenomena of having lacking, all phenomena, everything is lacking in having an inherent existence, an inherent nature, then we can, everything starts to shake. Okay, so there's a good side and bad side to it. If everything starts shaking, then nothing is nothing is stable. Then there is insecurity. You feel threatened. Nothing is stable. Therefore, everything is shaky. Then you don't feel like trusting people. You don't feel like trusting the wall that you are leaning on. You don't feel like riding the bus that you are going, and so on and so forth. So it seems like you tend to feel, instead of bringing comfort, it starts to bring discomfort for you, right? But at the same time, what happens is when you have that understanding that nothing, all phenomena are lacking in having an inherent existence, when nothing is solidly true, when that happens, then you start relying less and less on all these attributes. And then you start relying more and more inwards into developing your mental attitude, mental state. And with that, your mental well-being or spiritual well-being, or in other words, your mind, your spiritual practices strengthen, becomes more strong. That is one aspect. And another thing is that fear of not being able to rely on anything will not last that long. And eventually you will know, okay, if you lean on the wall is something that you can lean on. Even though the wall is lacking an inherent existence, you can still lean on it. It does what we call, even though ultimately it lacks inherent existence, conventionally it does the things that it's supposed to do. So the so it can accomplish all the things that it has to do. Even though things are lacking an inherent existence, it can accomplish all the things that we're supposed to do. And when you have that understanding, in the beginning you will have that fear. In the beginning you will feel like, okay, if I get on that bus will fall apart, because the bus is no longer has any inherent existence. It doesn't have any inherent nature to it. It doesn't have any solidifying sort of artifact in it, because the bus is made up of so many different metals and atoms and all these things, and it is all put together. But at the same time, that put together thing, that thing that is lacking an inherent existence, is also it's also sturdy enough, strong enough to get you from one destination to another destination. Now, the good part with that unreliability, right, not being able to rely on anything, is that in life, so many bad things come, right? Normally, when good things come, we enjoy it, and bad things come, we crack down. So when you have that understanding of emptiness, that nothing has, all phenomena, everything is lacking and having an inherently existing attribute or phenomena, then no matter what happens, we always can calm ourselves down. Oh, okay, this is such a bad thing, but this will happen, right? For example, if you lose someone, some loved one, it's such a bad experience, but at the same time, for a moment or two, there is such a bad feeling, because we lose our loved one, we lose our property, whatever. But at the same time, we can regain consciousness we can regain our senses after that shock due to this understanding. So to put it simply, understanding the emptiness, so the question was how to apply emptiness into reality. So it is, okay, now whatever we see in this life, whatever we experience, even the voices that you are hearing from me, that is relying on so many other things, even though unobservingly it seems like it's coming directly from my mouth, but it is not. It is coming through this microphone, that cell phone. It goes from my module, and it travels through so many frequencies, bandwidth, light, and electricity, and so many, the internet and everything. It goes all the way outside, goes to the satellite, and then goes to the tower that wherever you are sitting, and then from that tower it is broadcasted to whatever devices that you are looking into, a cell phone, a computer, television set, and all that. And what you are seeing in front of you, what you are hearing, is not my actual voice. It is actually an electrical it's an electrical sound. It is the sound of your phone or your computer or your and all the image that you think you are seeing me is not me. It is actually all the pixels, the pixelated form on your display, on whatever display that you are using. And even that is not true, because all the things that we see are actually forms of light, where there is, when light falls on an object, then the object starts to appear. Without light, there is no object. So whatever color that you are seeing of me, my clothes, my everything, so it is not what it appears to be. It is not what we think it is. So in that way, you feel like you are being cheated in a way, right? All the things that we see in our life, not just me talking, everything, not that people are doing it on purpose, but everything that we see, everything that we feel, everything that we experience is something, it's an impersonation, or it's a copy of something that we, what we see is a copy of something that we think we are seeing. So when we are, so when we, when we come face to face with these things on purpose, then when bad things happen in our life, when mishaps happen in our life, negative things happen in our life, we will be able to overcome those things more easily. And if you are a Dharma practitioner, then it actually tells you, all the things, all the experiences that we are having are actually not so trustworthy. If we dislike someone for being so bad or whatever, that is also not so trustworthy. Liking someone is also not so trustworthy. Disliking someone is also not so trustworthy. So in that way, you become, you come to the middle way, and you become detached. We become detached from either of the two extremes of extreme liking and extreme disliking. Oh yeah.
We have 2 more questions from Richella. Do you have a time for both?
Yes, please go on. Thank you.
Prostrate to Rinpoche, will you please explain more details between intellectual emptiness and first in natural emptiness?
Okay. So this comes from the fact that, I think this is, so emptiness is spoken mainly in the Mahayana text. And the Buddhism as we know it in Tibet, in China, in Vietnam, in Japan, and all these countries, excluding Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, or the Theravada tradition. So though excluding them, in the Mahayana, in the countries where Mahayana Buddhism is followed, so we talk about emptiness. All the Buddhist schools talk about emptiness. So, but when we look at how they explain emptiness, it differs from one to another. And so there is big debate on what is actual emptiness and what is not, and so on and so forth. But so these are all branches of one big tree. And the tree should be, the trunk of the tree is the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha Dharma. And the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha talked about, when Buddha spoke on emptiness, he said emptiness, when he mentioned emptiness, he said emptiness, things being empty of having inherent existence. So all phenomena lack inherent existence. So inherent existence, I think I have explained it many times, but as I explained just a little earlier, for example, the image that you see in front of you, even though if you look at on your display, you will see a solid, picture of me, my body, right? With my body, with my head on top of my neck and all that. So it's very intact. But if you look more closely, for example, if you are looking at the television set, it's all made up of pixels. Or if you look at me face to face, you will also see that my whole body is made up of different atoms, different particles. So when you usually say, okay, I saw Rinpoche today, right? What you are actually seeing is an image of me. So and you think you are looking at me right now. maybe this is not real me. Maybe this is a recorded version of me talking to you. But the thing is, in our everyday situation, when we see the image of a person, the physical body of the person, we say, oh, I saw you. When we see the physical image of John, we say, oh, I saw John today. But this may or may not be John, right? This may be someone looking like John, someone who, whatever. So the thing is, we rely so much on external things. So the emptiness we are talking about is that all these externalism, all these things that we rely so much on, all these things are externalism, and we need to distance ourselves from that. And this is one point when we talk about how to apply emptiness in our day-to-day life. So if we can refrain from relying so much on external, when we apply the understanding of emptiness, we will become less externalism, materialistic. So all these aesthetics, like the house, body, physical, all these things become less important. Of course, we need a house to stay, we need beautiful things. Of course, these are important part, but they become less important compared to your mental well-being. Okay, so natural emptiness is the emptiness as it is spoken by the Buddha. Not because it is called natural, not because Buddha said so, but it is called natural because it is so. This is the emptiness. This is the essence of all phenomena. So therefore, it is the natural emptiness. So natural emptiness means the lack of inherent existence in all phenomena. That is the natural emptiness. So the reason I brought up all the different traditions is because all different schools talk about emptiness, but more or less, even though they are all describing different branches. So we are all describing different branches of the tree. So one says, oh, the tree is made up of leaves. The tree is made up of okay. So I'm not going to go into much detail. So we are all describing different branches of the tree. So when we put all of the branches together, of course, we are getting the tree. But the branch itself is not a tree. We have to understand that as well. So the branch itself is not a tree, but the tree is made up of different branches, different roots, and the trunk, and all put together. So intellectual emptiness is the different branches of the tree. The tree is the natural emptiness, and the different branches of the tree are the intellectual emptiness. In other words, emptiness described by different philosophical thought. That is the intellectual emptiness. And one example I gave this morning was, saying, oh, the traditional presentation is that a horse is not a rabbit. A horse being empty of a rabbit. A horse is not a rabbit, so therefore a horse is empty of being a rabbit. So this is the traditional example given in the text. So we can use different. So these are sort of conventional emptiness, but that is not the ultimate emptiness or the natural emptiness, or the emptiness as spoken by the Buddha, or emptiness as it is.
Okay. Next question, Rinpoche. How to identify between faith and desire to rely on a guru? Làm thế nào để phân biệt giữa niềm tin và sự khao khát để dựa vào các bậc thầy? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah. So that is the first topic, the first point of today's topic, right? The confusion between faith and desire. So very good question. This is okay. So I will put it very simply. simply put, when faith is a good thing, but desire developing into attachment, this is it will get you into trouble. So how to differentiate those things is, with faith you appreciate your tradition, your lineage, your religion. With desire, you started to depreciate other traditions, other lineages. When desire creeps in, so you think, oh, my tradition, my guru is the best one. Yeah, your guru is best one. Your guru is perfect. That is a very good thing. But if you think other gurus are, bad because your guru is good, or my religion is good, my religion is good, that is not a bad thing. But if you think other religions are bad because your religion is good, then that is not right. So, simply put, when it starts to impair your sensibilities, when it encroaches upon your impartiality, when you can no longer be impartial, when you become partial towards one sect, one lineage, one tradition, one thing, then this is actually starting to develop from faith to desire to attachment to craving and so on and so forth. So these are all forms of attachment. Oh yeah.
One last question, Rinpoche. Is that okay? That's the last one.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Dear Rinpoche, follow up with your explanation of the first question. Is there a way to remove the imprints caused in the past besides accepting it? No. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Yeah. Of course, there is a way to remove the imprints. So all the negative karmas, all the negative result of the karmas can be removed. The term we use is can be purified. Right? It can be purified, and so there are ways to do it in the Mahayana, sort of like what we call the common Mahayana view tradition, and then in the uncommon Mahayana. Uncommon Mahayana means Vajrayana. So in the Vajrayana, there's a lot of ritual to do that, and also a lot of different practices to do that. And the one very good practice is in the Vajrayana. If you believe in Vajrayana, then the Vajrasattva, the Vajrasattva, reciting the Vajrasattva mantra, and the Vajrasattva sadhana is a very good practice to purify negativities. If you're not a follower of Vajrayana, if you are a follower of common Mahayana, then the imprints can be removed through practicing. The imprints can be purified or removed only through penetration by penetrative wisdom. So the imprints can be removed only through meditation, by meditating upon the penetrative wisdom. So the penetrative wisdom we are talking about is meditation on emptiness. So when we meditate on, first you have to understand, you have to read books on emptiness, study more on emptiness, and once you have a clear idea of what emptiness is, or as we talked earlier, natural emptiness, not the intellectual emptiness, not the convoluted form of emptiness, not the twisted form of emptiness, not the branches, but the actual tree. When you have that idea, when you comprehend what emptiness means, that is not sufficient, of course. You have to comprehend it first from studying. And once we do that, then we have to apply that. We have to meditate on emptiness. And then once we start meditating, only then the stain, right, the residue, the imprints of our negative karmas, negative deeds will start to shake off, will start to go. Thank you. Okay, dedication.
Kết thúc buổi hôm nay chúng ta tụng bài hồi hướng.
Gewan Diji Nyordo Lama Sangye Rogyo Chowa Chigyang Aju Diji Salang Gebara Sho Jo Semjo Rembo Che Ye Gwana Pangi Gebo Nyambara Mepa Yang Pone Gondo Pewa Me Lives I die, life me.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rinpoche.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.